On TikTok, messy relationships are practically a genre at this point. From cheating scandals inside content houses to couples dragging each other online in the name of healing, we've seen it all, or at least we thought we had. But today's story takes messy to a whole new dimension. This isn't just your average breakup or internet drama. It's a twisted mix of betrayal, family scandal, and internet fame gone way too far. We mean, picture this. 2 high school best friends end up dating the same girl at different points in their lives. One marries her, the other marries someone else. Eventually, the couples become friends and their kids even grow up together. They make each other the godparents of their children, spend holidays side by side, and post endless family love videos online.
I do think that she was comparing her life to Akira's. They were leaning on each other. They were sharing details about one another's marriage with each other.
But behind the smiles and matching outfits, something dark was brewing. Because, as it turns out, nothing screams betrayal like sleeping with your husband's cousin-like friend while his kids are asleep upstairs. Yes, you heard that right. But wait, because there is more. Somewhere in between cheating and lying, almost all of these people have found ways to land themselves behind bars and get arrested for all kinds of reasons. Be it ignoring court orders, cyber stalking, or scamming people. For those of you who already know where this is going, yes, we're talking about Brenay Kennard and Timothy Montague, TikTok's most infamous duo in recent days. The internet has given them many titles: messy, shameless, TikTok's worst couple. But if we had to describe them in simpler terms, let's just say they have an unbelievable amount of audacity. These two didn't just cheat on their spouses, they broadcasted it, defended it, and somehow managed to convince themselves that they were the real victims. It's like watching a car crash where the drivers are smiling and waving for the camera.
You seem like you perfect when you're not. When you're not. And then you get mad when you see me happy with somebody else. No, you should have acted right, and your mother told you, Devin, act right, or another nigga will swoop her up off her feet.
And mind you, this isn't the only time they shamelessly defended their adultery and cheating. In fact, this was just the beginning of their delusional love story.
How can you scream? And I've been in your life since in your life alone for over half of what she's ever been in your life before. So how can you scream? Oh my gosh, Brenay ruined my marriage. She cheated and this and that and the third. How can I do that? How can I ruin a marriage that was already broken? Y'all already had a separation. So clearly it's something up. And that's all I'm gonna say. It's clearly something up.
The scandal first broke the internet back in January 2024, when Akira, Timothy's wife, allegedly caught the two in the act. While Akira was at her 9-to-5 job trying to keep her household running, Brenay and Timothy were busy sneaking around her home. This same home where Akira's kids were sleeping upstairs. Oh, and did we mention Brenay was literally the godmother of those kids, or so she says.
I do not have any hatred in my heart for Tim's baby mom. I don't. I was auntie to those kids, a name that I didn't give myself. Just to throw that out there. I was like, hey, I want to call myself auntie. No, name that was given to me.
So yeah, she was basically an auntie to these kids. Now, for those of you who already know this story, you know it's basically one giant tangled web of lies, deceit, and secondhand embarrassment. There are over-the-top crying videos, manipulative live streams, and enough cringe to make you question whether anyone on the internet has morals anymore. But if you're new here, don't worry. We've actually covered the Brenay and Tim saga before in another video, so if you want the full timeline with all the chaotic details, go check that one out too. Last time we talked about this couple, Brenay had divorced his husband and was living shamefully with her husband's cousin Tim, while Tim was still legally married to Akira.
For all who don't know, me and Devin are divorced.
We ain't even divorced yet, actually. We're still in the separation phase.
Besides this, Akira had also filed a lawsuit against Brenay that could have potentially forced her into bankruptcy. However, drama doesn't end here, because in recent days, both Tim and Brenay have been massively active on Snapchat and TikTok live streams, adding more fuel to the fire and chasing clout like they always do. And as they continue to indulge in their pattern of lying, defending, and defaming, people can't help but wonder what exactly is going on with these two. Another thing that's been keeping people on their toes is the ongoing lawsuit against Brenay. But it gets messier, because according to recent updates, the legal aspect of their scandal is more confusing than their messy love triangles. There are not one, but multiple lawsuits involved, including the one Devin filed against Tim and the one Tim filed against Akira. More confusing than you thought, right? Well, not for long, because in today's video, we'll be covering all the updates you need to know, what the four of them have been up to in recent days, including their very petty ongoing court case, and some resurfaced controversies related to Brenay. However, for the sake of this video and to save you from all going down a truly brain-rotting rabbit hole, let's do a quick recap of what actually went down between these four people back in 2024. The four being Brenay Kennard, her now ex-husband Devin Mayo, Devin's supposed cousin and high school best friend Timothy, and Timothy's wife Akira, who ironically also became really close friends with Brenay.
Kira! Y'all almost fell because of her. It's her fault.
So yeah, there is that. But if we had to name the most well-known one from this group, it would definitely be Brenay. Although popular might not be the right word, she's without a doubt the most talked about person out of all of them. Brenay runs a TikTok account under the name Life of Brenay, which has gathered around 3 million followers, and that number has only gone up since last year, mostly because of the stunts she's been pulling both online and offline. Brenay is also known online by her nickname, Busty Brenay, thanks to her, well, humongous breasts that the internet can't seem to stop talking about. She's also been ridiculed endlessly for her disgustingly long curved nails, the kind that make you want to look away and gag at the same time. And while those might be the main reasons she initially caught people's attention, that's not the full picture of who Brenay was online. Before the chaos and scandals, she actually used to post a lot of wholesome couple content with her husband, Devin Mayo. Their videos were full of typical TikTok couple stuff, matching outfits, cutesy trends, and over-the-top affection that made people think they were genuinely in love.
I'ma take the time to show you how much you mean to me, 'cause you are all I need.
Devon was the chill type. He wasn't problematic, chaotic, or toxic, just laid back and low-key. And maybe that's exactly why he and Brenay didn't really match. Even though she posted tons of couple content and painted the perfect picture of love online, behind the scenes, she was cheating on him with Devon's best friend Tim. Now, Devon and Tim like to say that they were cousins, but there's no real proof that they're actually related. It seems more like one of those we grew up together so we call each other cousins situations. Anyways, as you might have guessed by now, things eventually came crashing down when Akira, Tim's wife at the time, found out about the affair. She and Devon had already started getting suspicious. Brenay was suddenly spending an unnecessary amount of time with Tim alone, often trying to exclude Akira and Devon from plans and hangouts. That's when both of them realized something just wasn't adding up. So what did Akira do? She set up cameras inside her house and caught Tim and Brenay hooking up as well as bad-mouthing her in her own house. However, one of the biggest red flags, something people only found out later from Brenay herself, was that she and Tim had actually dated back in high school. According to her, they'd known each other since she was 14 and started dating when she was 15.
Be with Tim a long time ago. I've known this man since I was 15 years old. 15, I'm 25. Don't y'all think if I wanted him, I would have had him before she even laid eyes on him? He been in my life, I was 15, bro. Y'all want a little bit of the tea? I was 15. 14 years old, but we dated officially 15. I've known him since I was 14 years old.
People also found this old Twitter account of Brenay from 2013 where she is clearly obsessed with Tim. Her argument when Akira caught them cheating was that she had Tim before Akira did, and that she didn't ruin anyone's marriage because apparently Tim and Akira's relationship was already falling apart. In her mind, she and Tim were meant to be together. We mean the audacity. And mind you, she has said all of this after getting caught cheating on her husband with Tim. And it wasn't just bad, it was downright awful. Not only did she cheat on her husband with his closest friend, but she also betrayed one of her own friends in the process. Akira trusted her. She confided in Brenay about her marriage problems, her personal struggles, and even trusted her enough to be around her kids. And Brenay threw all of that away for a man the entire internet could already tell wasn't going to stick around for long. But maybe, just maybe, people were wrong about that. Because fast forward to the present, almost a year after the initial cheating scandal, it looks like Brenay and Tim are now officially married. And the date they chose to get married is, let's just say, controversial. As devastating as it may sound, these two people are actually very perfect for each other. They're the same amount of toxic and definitely match well together in court. Anyway, long story short, Akira ended up slapping Brenay with an alienation of affection lawsuit. Now, for those of you who don't know what that means, let's break it down. Alienation of affection is actually a real law that still exists in a few states in the US, including North Carolina, where this whole mess went down. It's basically a legal way for a husband or wife to sue the person whom they believe ruined their marriage. In simple terms, if someone intentionally comes between a married couple, say by having an affair with one of the spouses, the other spouse can take them to court for it. The idea is that marriage is supposed to come with love, affection, and trust. And if a third person interferes and destroys that bond, they can be held legally responsible. Sounds a bit old-fashioned, right? Almost like something out of a 1950s soap opera. But in North Carolina, it's still very much a thing. There have actually been real cases where people won thousands, even millions of dollars in damages because of it. So Akira wasn't just dealing with heartbreak. She was ready to make sure Brenay paid for what she did, literally. However, things weren't nearly as straightforward as they seemed. The lawsuit quickly spiraled into chaos, turning out to be far messier than anyone could have imagined. Not long after it was filed, Brenay herself was hit with contempt of court charges, accused of refusing to provide her financial records and repeatedly ignoring the court's orders. Besides this, she also failed to show up for her depositions and made up random excuses why she didn't come to court.
There's so many of y'all that keep asking me this question, and here it is. 1, I was told I didn't have to go. 2, I communicated with the other party. 3, again, I was told I did not have to go. I'm my own lawyer. I was told I didn't have to go, and that's just what it was. So, yeah.
What we think happened during this time was that Brenay didn't take the lawsuit very seriously. At the time, Brenay also moved in with Tim and even helped him move out of the house he shared with Akira. So now Tim and Brenay were officially living together. By this point, Devon and Brenay were divorced, and Brenay was gloating about it all over social media.
For all who don't know, me and Devin are divorced.
Well, they weren't actually officially divorced until mid-2025, but yeah, they were in the process of getting a divorce. There were also a bunch of messy live streams where both Tim and Brenay disrespected Devon, but honestly, Devon was the chillest guy in all of this. He quietly distanced himself from the drama and focused on his own healing journey.
You know, it's crazy how a person can tell lies on you and you haven't told the truth about them, or they can do you wrong and they try and play the victim.
It's actually impressive how he handled everything. If you check out Devon Mayo's socials right now, you'll see that he's a completely changed man. He lost a bunch of weight, started modeling, and seems genuinely happy. And honestly, that might be part of why Brenay fumbled so hard in the first place. Especially after that leaked text message where Tim allegedly told Akira that he would ditch Brenay if she lost the lawsuit. But honestly, at this point, Devon was done with the drama. Again, there's a lot that happened between these two, but like we said, we won't get into the details of it right now. You can check out the previous video uploaded on the channel for more context. However, speaking of Tim ditching Brenay, we also came across this clip, which appears to be a voice recording of Tim himself claiming that Brenay actually seduced him since 2021. He talked about how Brenay would come over to Tim's house, take a shower, and lie on his couch. This audio recording seems to be a conversation between Tim and Brenay's sister.
Well, she hasn't done this since they stayed at the... Because I was staying there after my injury. I was staying there together. She was about to come to Wilson. Oh, we were just staying there. Obviously I didn't work at the time when I was at school. So I remember one time I had, this on the air mattress sleep. By this time, Akira and the kids had already left. But it's like 10 something. And she come in the room and literally, laid on the bed next to me. I'm like, bro, what you doing? She woke me up and everything. I got up out there. Another time, she I don't know if she had took a shower, but she had got on the bed and back shot position, had arched back and everything, door wide open, had the towel wrapped around her, and she was like that on the bed. I'm like,
All right.
That being said, circling back to the ongoing lawsuit filed in June 2024, a lot has happened since then. After the initial filing, Brenay's attorney sought over $1 million in damages. However, people online were quick to call her attorney out, arguing that she doesn't seem to be helping Brenay's case at all. For one, many pointed out that given the seriousness of the lawsuit, it made little sense for her attorney to allow Brenay to keep posting pictures and videos with Tim. Anything they post or say publicly could easily be used against them in court, and they've already said more than enough to potentially hurt their own case. In October 2024, Brenay was subpoenaed to provide documents from the past year showing instances where Brenay had been sending money to Tim. The subpoena also required her to submit extensive personal information, including her social media earnings and details about all of her accounts. Meanwhile, through all this chaos, Brenay's mother and twin sister have continued to support and defend her. Her mother in particular has made several videos where she, much like Brenay, talks about God and her own righteousness, yet still finds a way to justify and defend her daughter's cheating. And let's just not even get started on the whole sister situation, because that's a circus of its own. For those who don't know, Brenay has a twin sister named Karen, and she's every bit as shameless as Brenay herself, if not worse.
You either like how I'm built or you don't. If you don't, keep that to yourself. I know how bad of built I am. I know I'm built bad. What can I do? Nothing. I'm just gonna be built bad.
Now here's an interesting piece of information. Tim actually slept with Karen back in 2019 while Akira was pregnant with his child. Yeah, you heard that right. He cheated on his ex-wife with his current girlfriend's twin sister. And somehow Karen still has the audacity to get online, record herself talking as if she's the voice of reason, and defend her sister like nothing happened. It's honestly wild how the whole family seems to lack any sense of accountability, instead choosing to double down and play the victims online. At this point, no one really knows the full timeline of this tangled web of relationships. It's unclear whether Karen or Tim dated first and Brenay swooped in later, or if Tim and Karen only hooked up after he was already married to Akira. The details are murky at best. But from what we've been able to piece together so far, there has been a lot of sharing going on, and Tim seems to have been right in the middle of all of it. On top of all that, another layer to this ongoing drama is that Brenay has reportedly been threatening TikTok creators who've been covering her story. There's even a clip circulating online from a TikTok creator who claims to have received a message from Brenay herself, warning that she plans to take legal action against anyone talking about her and Tim publicly. It's giving full-blown damage control energy, but instead of helping her image, it's only making things look even worse.
Okay, I'm back laying down, but so somebody just messaged me on TikTok, and I don't know who the f*** it is. I don't know if it's Brenay behind the content creators that's been mentioning Brenay's name. She's getting together a big lawsuit of everybody who's been mentioning her name on the internet. It literally says, I don't know how to put it on this screen, I ain't that fluent with TikTok yet, so whatever. Anyway, it literally says that me and a host of others are gathered in the listing of content creators who are in a lawsuit of Brenay's or some. I don't even remember how the f*** it was worded, y'all, but that's basically what it said. What the f*** you mean? Suing me? I don't think so.
Like we said, the audacity is just glaring. But this is not it. While Brenay was out there threatening people on TikTok, Akira and Devon had their own situation brewing. It all seemed to start when Akira reposted Devon on her story, and people immediately noticed. That one simple post was enough to send the internet into a frenzy, with everyone speculating about what was really going on between the two of them.
Akira! Oh, my God.
love it. I love it.
I did not expect Akira posting Devin on her Facebook page to be on my bingo card this year. I did not expect that shit.
People were really curious to know whether Akira and Devon were actually talking or just staying friends now that both of them had been cheated on so badly. And soon enough, things started to make sense when Devon filed his own alienation of affection lawsuit against Tim in December 2024. In the filing, Devon claimed that Tim used his close relationship with him, Devon, as a way to get closer to Brenay. He even alleged that Tim pretended to be Brenay's social media manager just so he could spend more time with her behind everyone's back. But wait a minute, because there's even more to this mess. Devon didn't stop there. He also filed for alimony and equal distribution of marital property, asking for more than half of their shared estate. On top of that, he claimed in his lawsuit that Brenay had been hiding her social media earnings from him and using their marital funds to buy gifts for Tim. Black Goddess, a sassy influencer religiously covering Brenay's case, also made a video about it, reading out legal documents and explaining the lawsuit filed against Tim.
Brenay also regularly took Tim out to eat and on shopping sprees during the course of the marriage and before the date of separation without Devin consent. They've been separated for a whole year. February of this year made a whole year that they were separated. Yeah, longer than a year, really. So you mean to tell me she was sleeping with her husband and Tim? But we gonna look stupid when the truth come out. Baby, she wasn't expecting Devin to say nothing. She just wanted Devin to be quiet. Brenay went apartment shopping with Tim before the date of separation. I just hope that this 23 is a typo. But hold on. Tim and Brenay went shopping before the date of Brenay chose to become a co-sign. Y'all remember when it asked, did he co-sign? If they ever open up their mouth and talk, they will be able to tell Devin. Brenay chose to become a co-signer for Tim for a townhome rental before the date of separation. Brenay then proceeded to abandon Devin on or around March 2024 and moved in with Tim. So y'all know when she was moving out, the townhome that they was in, listen, the townhome that they were in, when she was saying it's March 10th, it's March 14th, Tim and the kids are here. Y'all were her in Tim's place. And she said Tim is in, the babies are here. And
apparently, Tim and Brenay had been sneaking around for quite some time, co-signing house papers together and using joint funds on each other, all while their partners had no idea what was going on. And honestly, we completely agree with Black Goddess on this one. Just because Devon is the quiet type, Brenay probably assumed he'd stay silent and never speak out about what happened. But he didn't. And that might just be the part of this entire drama that the audience loved the most. Now, all of this information was a lot for the public to process. Devon's lawsuit felt like a slap in the face for both Tim and Brenay, and honestly, many people found a strange sense of satisfaction in finally seeing Tim face some accountability. Up until that point, most of the backlash had been directed at Brenay, but it's hard to ignore that Tim is actually at the center of almost every problem in this entire saga. He was married to Akira, cheating behind her back since 2019, hooking up with Brenay's sister, then turning around and flirting with Brenay herself, all while pretending to be her social media manager. So Tim claiming that it was actually Brenay who seduced him is absolute nonsense. These two were equal partners in everything that happened, and thanks to North Carolina's laws, they might both have to face the consequences now that Devon has filed his lawsuit as well. That being said, there's another major update that's just as important to talk about. Akira has recently filed for temporary custody orders to protect her children, accusing Tim and Brenay of violating court rules. Now, when Akira first filed the lawsuit against Brenay, she also filed for a temporary custody order. And there was a specific section that clearly stated Tim and Akira's children were not to be around Brenay under any circumstances. Most importantly, their faces were not to be shown on camera. This clause was put into place to protect the kids from all the chaos and public drama surrounding the situation. But, of course, Brenay, being Brenay, failed to follow those court orders. In fact, it seemed like her mother might have played a role in helping Tim gain temporary or emergency custody of the kids, because in several of Brenay's videos, you can actually see or hear the children in the background. Whether it's their voices or brief appearances on camera, it's clear the court's restrictions were completely ignored.
So, you can't be in the camera. I'm sorry.
But, look how Pancho pooping.
I know.
In the temporary custody order Akira recently filed, she claimed that Brenay had posted her children online without permission, and even went as far as pretending to be their godmother. Akira later addressed this publicly by posting a statement on her Facebook, clearly stating that Brenay is not her children's godmother. She emphasized that her kids have only one godmother, who is a blood relative, making it clear that Brenay's claims were completely false. She said in her Facebook post, "My kids have one godmother, and she does what a godmother is supposed to do. She loves them just as much as I do. I have never approved of anyone else being that. Their only godmother is blood related to them. Stop claiming kids that you don't care for financially, mentally, physically, or emotionally." This once again proves just how far Brenay is willing to go to get the life she wants. As a so-called family friend, she used to look at the life Akira and Tim had together and slowly inserted herself into it. First as a friend, then as the auntie, until she completely tore it apart from the inside. But if you think lying about being the kid's godmother was bad, wait until you hear this next part. Tim and Brenay actually went to meet the children's school counselor, where Brenay pretended to be their mother. Yes, she really showed up alongside Tim, acting as if she were the kid's mom. We mean, that's on a whole new level of disgusting. And then she has the audacity to come say that the kids prefer living with her and Tim. And just when you think things couldn't get any worse, they do. In the temporary custody order, Akira also mentioned that members of Tim's family have been harassing her on social media. We believe this stems from an ongoing back and forth that's been happening between Akira and Tim's sister earlier this year. The tension between Tim and Akira has actually been brewing online for quite some time. The two have been going at each other on Facebook for days. In one particular post, Akira called Tim a sassy man with a beard that doesn't connect, and in several others, she accused him of being a deadbeat father who doesn't do anything for his kids. In response, Tim posted this, calling her narcissistic, bitter, and manipulative. Now this is where another person, a relative of Tim, decided to insert herself into the drama. Tim's sister Amani jumped in with a Facebook post of her own defending her brother. She claimed that Tim is a devoted father who would do anything for his kids, and accused Akira of spreading false narratives out of bitterness. Amani went on to criticize people for trying to paint a present father as an absent one, saying that it not only disrespects the dad but also hurts the children. She emphasized that, as a black family, they already face enough broken homes and instability, and described Akira's behavior as emotionally manipulative. Imani warned that once the ongoing court case wraps up, the truth will come out, and everyone choosing sides now will have to stand on it. She didn't stop there either. Imani clapped back at commenters spreading rumors, saying she was there in real life and knows what truly happened. Several of Tim's friends also backed her up, claiming that Tim is one of the few fathers who genuinely takes responsibility and stands by his principles no matter what. Now, we don't really know how much truth there is to Imani's claims, but according to people online, especially on the subreddit dedicated to the Busty Brenay drama, Tim has actually been guilty of many of the things Akira has accused him of. Users have been quick to point out how Tim always seems to have money to take Brenay out for dinner or buy her Chipotle, yet somehow doesn't have enough to pay proper child support. Akira has also spoken out several times on Facebook about her struggles as a single mother trying to raise all of her kids on her own. In one of her posts, she said, "So I went to Target to get a few outfits for my baby, and I told myself to focus on the one child, because the other baby just had a B-day and received all these clothes. The baby that I went shopping for had a growth spurt and couldn't even fit their socks. I went to Target and spent roughly $400 on a few outfits. I did well focusing on the one child. It's hard for me to buy one and not the other. I said all that to say I was so grateful, because if you knew my story..." A lot of people in the Reddit comments were furious about this. Commenters pointed out how he'd always neglected his kids and not even buy them proper food when they wanted, all while Brenay keeps going on and on about being a bonus mom and a stepmother to the kids. Meanwhile, Tim refuses to spend anything on them. One user on Reddit commented, "Don't forget when they went grocery shopping and the kids asked for bananas. Her morbidly obese ass only bought 2. Like seriously, bananas are the cheapest fruit you can buy. You can get 6 for less than $2, but her unhealthy ass bought 2 individual bananas, literally one for each kid, and that's it. Tim broke-ass didn't say a word. Dude couldn't even afford to buy his kids fruit. However, we think the child support has now been granted by the court, since Akira might be getting full custody of her kids. Now that we're on the topic of kids, another thing we found out is that a lot of people have been bringing up Brenay's sister lately. They've been posting pictures of Karen's daughter and pointing out similarities to Tim, claiming that Kira's child's father could potentially be Tim. Now, this is one hilarious bit of information, and if it actually turns out to be true, people might not even be shocked. However, before we move on to some of the more serious updates in this case, there's another thing worth mentioning: Brenay's alleged scamming habits. During a recent live stream, Brenay was called out for scamming her audience. She had actually started a GoFundMe a while back for her breast reduction surgery, which, let us tell you guys, was an absolute scam. She actually went live on TikTok to respond to hate comments and address her GoFundMe controversy. She claimed that Dr. Miami had initially agreed to perform the surgery, but later canceled the appointment. She also said she didn't hear back afterward, which led her to postpone the procedure. Brenay explained that since she and Tim plan to have children, it would make sense to get the surgery now because her breasts could grow back. She also said she comes from a top-heavy family, making it genetic. But honestly speaking, it wasn't even about her breasts or the size of them. It was about her taking money from people claiming that she was going to get a surgery, then never going through with it, and never even offering any justification. During her live stream, she even got defensive at critics, saying that if people donated and are mad, they should request refunds. She insisted she didn't scam anyone, and that she had already explained the situation long ago.
Initial plan was for me to go up there and get consultations, stuff like that. And I think that was last year in December. So they called me before the appointment and they told me that the doctor's not going to be in. So pretty much we canceled our flight. So then I reached out to him, I think sometime this year. Yeah, I DM'd him sometime this year about a question or whatever. That's really none of y'all business. But I DM'd him a question or whatever, and he never responded to me. Mind you, we're friends on here, so since we're friends on here, you know, I can DM him and 9 times out of 10 he'll see it. I'm focusing on my body in other ways. Me and babe, we want to have kids and stuff like that, so I just feel like, I know a lot of people are like, wow, your breasts gonna get bigger and stuff like that. Well, that's the whole point. And I'm not saying like I want my breasts to get big. What I'm saying is it would make no sense for me to go get a breast reduction and then my breasts can grow back. Not the same size, but it will still grow back.
However, a lot of people on the internet have pointed out that she may have started the GoFundMe page purely to scam people. According to them, her doctor had already told her that they couldn't perform the breast reduction surgery until she lost some weight, and even then, it might not be possible. Apparently, her breasts are so large that the procedure would need a full areolar reconstruction surgery, which could be risky for someone with her body type. Despite knowing all that, she chose to keep her audience in the dark, telling everyone she was still getting the surgery and launching the GoFundMe just to pocket the money. Now, all of these details actually blew up on Black Goddess's livestream when Tim, Devon, Brenay's mom, sister, and pretty much everyone went full berserk mode. We'll save you the torture of listening to their voices, but we're going to show you this one TikTok of a creator by the name of the Travel Hottie, who explained the whole situation, except less shouting.
Baby, between nipple grafts, seeing Devon, Brenay, and Tim all on one platform going at it, and finding out that Brenay really did scam y'all for the breast reduction surgery. If you missed Black Goddess live yesterday, you missed so much, because first of all, I barely ever go into her lives, love her content, and at one time I was just casually just listening, and all this stuff just started escalating. Let me give y'all a quick summary. So Black Goddess was on live yesterday, of course, talking about the court documents, as she always does. And someone by the name of Britt was in the comments saying, hey, I'm Brenay's cousin. So people are like, okay, get on the panel. What do you have to say? She gets on the panel and actually starts going in, but not on Black Goddess. She starts going in on Brenay. Who needs enemies when you got a cousin like Britt? Britt goes in and says how Brenay and Karen have been popping their fangs since they've been 13. how Brenay is so desperate and insecure, which we already knew that. How Brenay conjured up, basically, not even conjured up, let me use a better word. So, you know that Brenay got popular on TikTok because of her excessively large breasts. Like, they're almost down to her damn knees. So, someone in the comments said one day, hey, you should, create a GoFundMe for breast reduction surgery. Brenay creates a GoFundMe, and y'all donated to that GoFundMe for her to get a breast reduction surgery. Come to find out, the cousin said Brenay knew she wasn't going to be able to get a breast reduction surgery to begin with because no doctor is really going to go do that. They said that they have to basically give her a nipple graft. And what that means is that her breasts have gone so far beyond repair that if they were to take the breast away, they would have to reconstruct a whole nipple. Because technically, when your breasts are that big, like your areola is more than likely massive. So Brenay collected all that money from y'all knowing she could not get that surgery. She goes in and is talking about Brenay's mom is supposed to be having, I don't know if her mom's supposed to be having an affair, about the mom basically is a Jezebel too. The Jezebel spirit is in Brenay, is it Brenay's sister. She addressed the whole thing about, is Brenay's sister kids, Tim kids, or did they sleep around? It was so much. She went in, but then it escalated some more. Out of nowhere, Brenay's sister, the stud, and Brenay's mom gets in the comments, which is so shocking because allegedly they're supposed to have blocked Black Goddess, calling her, she's a black devil and all. But funny how that happens and they still keep up with all the mess. So Brenay's sister, the stud, and the mom gets on the panel or gets up there and it's basically like, we don't know who this Brit is. We don't know who this person is. But mind you, before that even happened, while Brit was...
Anyways, moving on from the GoFundMe scams to the courtroom chaos, in a more recent update, Akira has officially been granted a 1-year-long restraining order against Brenay. She filed for this order some time ago, and after a 4-hour-long court hearing, the judge finally ruled in her favor. During the hearing, Akira testified that Brenay had been constantly crossing boundaries and trying to involve herself with Akira's kids, despite being repeatedly told not to.
Akira has made it clear to Brenay that she does not want her posting her kids on social media. And even though Brenay never shows their faces, covering them by emojis, she still makes it clear that she's around the kids and doing things.
And honestly, considering Brenay's past behavior, like allegedly sleeping around while their kids were upstairs and not even providing them with proper food, it only seemed fair that the restraining order was granted. But even after that, Brenay refused to respect the court's decision. She apparently kept trying to contact the kids, even going as far as buying them gifts, almost as if she was trying to prove a point or undermine Akira's authority. But perhaps the most disturbing part of all this is what came next. Reports claim that Tim has been telling his kids that Brenay is their new mama. And honestly, that's not just inappropriate, it's downright disrespectful and incredibly hurtful toward Akira, especially given everything she's had to go through. Meanwhile, Brenay's attitude towards the audience and people in general has been taking a noticeably sour turn. She seems increasingly agitated, and her frustration is becoming more visible with each passing day. Lately, she constantly emphasizes that she doesn't care, that she's unbothered, and projects an air of defiance, as if trying to convince everyone and maybe herself that nothing phases her.
His first cousin, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Who knows if they even are cousins. Freeze a quick meal, please. Judge might throw the case out for real. You had Chinese? That sound good. I love watching your videos, period. You don't give a F, huh? No, I don't. I don't care about what people are saying. You can always make egg rolls.
I mean, you get the idea. She says all of these things with an almost stubborn defiance. And on top of all this, she'd been doing storytime videos with Tim, endlessly explaining how they first met and how their relationship began, presenting it as if it's the cutest thing in the world. But the truth is, for many people, it comes across as extremely frustrating and even a bit grating.
It was mainly because I had an Android, and at that time... I didn't have no phone then. Right. I didn't know, so I just wrote my kid down on like a sheet of paper or something, and he just took it, right? So then I guess later that night, I don't know if it was later that night or...
I'll take it from here. So we proceed to have conversations.
Oh, gosh.
And she spit game, and she pulled me, bro.
What did I say?
She pulled me. She said, I was talking about whatever. And she was like, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about me and you. I'm like, bet.
Crabbies.
Hold on now.
Let me stop.
So, she hit me with that. I was probably like, I think I was 15.
I was 14. I couldn't have a... By the way, y'all, I couldn't have a boyfriend until I was 15 years old. My mother made that very evident, very clear. I mean, crystal.
We mean, just look at these two. The way they're acting, it's like they're still 14, stuck in the same teenage fantasy drama they once had. They're out here behaving like they didn't just abandon their kids at home and cheat on the people who genuinely loved them. In addition to cringeworthy couple of live streams, Brenay has also been acting very hostile and rude towards people in general. For instance, when viewers called her out for her apparent lack of hygiene, she brushed it off, saying, "It's my life and I can do whatever I want," showing a blatant disregard for their concerns.
I'm so happy you knew my marriage. I'm so happy you knew everything that happened in my marriage. First of all, who's mad at him? I'm not mad at him. Like I said, I want this to be over and done. Simple. Like, y'all literally make it into something that it's not. Honestly, I don't feel no type of way because I know it's not true. And I know what I do and don't do. So there's no point in me feeling no type of way about things that I know is not true. You know what I'm saying?
Dishes in the sink for 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 days. Even if my place is dirty, how is that any concern for you? Exactly my whole point. So what? I can come on the internet and tell people that I didn't clean up. I can come on the internet and tell people that I didn't do X, Y, and Z because guess what? I don't care. It's my life and I'm the only one that's living it.
So to sum it all up, Brenay clearly doesn't care about a single thing. Not about cheating on her husband, not about sleeping with her friend's man, not even about lying that she's the kid's godmother. Nope, none of it matters to her. She's out here acting like she's living her best life while the internet burns around her. And the funniest part, she keeps saying she's unbothered, yet she's always on live streams arguing with people and posting even more couple videos with Tim. Because apparently, nothing screams peace and self-love like stirring up more drama. And if you think her bad attitude stops there, just wait until you see this next clip. In this one, she's basically turning on her own race, claiming that it's black women who have the most problems with her. According to her, they supposedly have some agenda against Brenay and are just oh so jealous of her supposedly perfect life and her amazing husband, who in her words, is worth it all.
It's so many black women is so invested into my story and my problems and my issues in my life. But they hate that we don't come together and support one another. But this is why we don't come together and support one another.
Number one, I'm not fake happy. Y'all are literally hearing it from my mouth. Y'all can't bother me. Y'all make pages, make comments about me, my weight, my looks. I'm happy. I am unbothered. I'm at peace. It's just so crazy to me because a narcissist are always happy when they're making others miserable.
Yes, Brenay, you are right. Narcissists are happy when they're making others miserable, and you and Tim are the only ones who are living their happy lives after cheating. So that says a lot. And if you think this attitude is as bad as it can get, think again, because Brenay always manages to take things a step further, and not in a good way. Remember when we mentioned that Akira was granted a restraining order against her, one that Brenay consistently tried to break? Well, this time it seems her actions might have finally caught up to her, or at least that's what people thought. What happened was that Akira's son had a graduation ceremony, and Brenay actually attended it alongside Tim. The issue was that Akira's kids were present there, and Akira herself was also in attendance. To many, this seemed like a direct violation of the no-contact restraining order. However, thankfully, the police were present at the graduation ceremony, and according to many people online, Tim and Brenay were actually asked to leave. But honestly, Tim has some real nerve trying to gaslight the entire internet. When the news about them showing up went viral, he posted a video basically telling people that reading is fundamental, acting all smug like he was schooling everyone. He claimed that he and Brenay got there early and that the police were called after, trying to convince everyone that nothing had happened at the graduation at all.
All right, so look, this is the thing. Niggas only want y'all to see certain things, bro. It's only certain things that people want y'all to see. We got there early. Me and my whole crew, we got there early. Nobody got there late. We got there early, right? And the police was called after the ceremony already started, right? And it's not because there is no, order, protective order. That's bullshit, bro. Reading is fundamental. Reading is fundamental. Y'all are a bunch of dumbasses, and y'all run with the BS that people like tell y'all. Make stuff up all the time, and y'all run with it every single time. Reading is fundamental. So y'all want to keep doing all this.
Here's a picture from the graduation ceremony that we found online. One user posted it on Reddit and said, "I bet $2 million that Tim's dad and granddad were scolding Tim for bringing Brenay to the graduation. That's why he was standing there looking all defensive and mad as F, because they were telling him and his girlfriend about themselves. They've been on Akira's side this whole time." We don't know if Tim's family was actually telling him that, but one thing is painfully clear, and it's that the only reason he took Brenay to that graduation was to piss Akira off. And well, mission accomplished. However, other than this, Brenay also did a bunch of stuff that, if anything, proved how careless she really is. For starters, she failed to respond to interrogatories about some personal questions, which led to contempt of court charges against her. In addition to that, there was an ongoing investigation into her for cyberstalking charges. She hasn't just been violating the restraining order and invading Akira and her kids' privacy, she's also been actively harassing them online. As things kept piling up, people began to wonder how long Brenay could actually manage to stay out of jail. Many claimed that there was already a warrant out for her arrest due to her failure to comply with court orders and the ongoing cyberstalking allegations.
It is off the rip. Y'all know that when the restraining order initially took place, for some of y'all may not know, I covered that case, right? I talked about that restraining order. The information is not privileged on the e-court portals. However, it is accessible inside of the courthouse, okay? It has not been an issue. Nobody has contacted me and said that it was an issue until somebody contacted me and say, "God, just don't talk about it," or, this, that, and the third, or, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to continue to cover it, right? But a supporter reached out to me and said that Akira and Brenay had court this morning regarding that restraining order. They did not see where she showed up. Therefore, when you don't show up, I'm finna go ahead and tell y'all, I guarantee you they have issued out a warrant for her arrest. They have a warrant out for Brenay's arrest. I don't know if Brenay know it, but most definitely, they probably finna be picking her up and booking her. I just want you guys to know. So y'all be on the lookout for mug shots, because like they did Akira, we better see the same with her. So.
And sure enough, on September 5th, 2025, a warrant for her arrest was officially issued. Then on September 6th, 2025, her bond was posted for the cyberstalking charges. According to the documents available online, she was held in court for over 48 hours, and her bail was set at $2,500. But even after being arrested, Brenay didn't seem to learn her lesson. She continues to talk badly about everyone to this very day. The trial is still ongoing, and both she and Tim have been seen outside the courthouse in questionable outfits, laughing and acting like they're starring in their own reality show. However, this still isn't the end of it. Like we said before, this entire situation is just a never-ending mess. Now, things took an even wilder turn when both Tim and Akira actually ended up getting arrested and spending time in jail. Yeah, you heard that right. Not just one of them, but both. And the reason behind it makes this story even more bizarre than it already is. So here's what went down. Tim and Akira were both hit with criminal contempt of court charges. Basically, that means the judge found out that they both violated a court order, most likely related to their temporary custody agreement. Remember, by this time, Akira and Tim were in the middle of a nasty custody and divorce battle, and things between them were extremely tense. Now, apparently both sides had filed motions accusing each other of breaking the custody rules. Akira said Tim wasn't following the order, and Tim said Akira was the one not complying. The judge reviewed all those motions and came to the conclusion that both of them had, at some point, disobeyed the court's directions. As a result, both Tim and Akira were found guilty of criminal contempt on one count each. They were sentenced to serve a short jail term. They spent the entire weekend behind bars and were released the following Monday morning. Now, while this might sound like a minor thing on paper, this moment really blew up online. People were completely divided. Some said it was karma catching up to Tim for all the chaos he and Brenay caused, while others argued that Akira didn't deserve it and that she's been the one suffering the most since the beginning. And honestly, that second group has a point. Akira's supporters have been saying for a long time that she's been treated unfairly throughout this entire mess. They claim she's the one who's constantly being targeted and harassed, not the other way around. In fact, after all the court drama and her address being leaked online, Akira ended up getting her court documents sealed to protect her privacy and safety. But of course, there's another layer to all of this, because when is there not? There's been a lot of speculation about the judge involved in this case. Some people online have accused him of using the situation for political gain, since he's allegedly running for election. The theory is that he wanted to look tough on court order violations, and by making an example out of Tim and Akira, two people whose case had already gotten a lot of attention online, he could appear stricter and more authoritative in the public eye. Here is a video of Black Goddess talking about the judge as well.
Akira and Tim has indeed went to jail. But why? I think everybody all along has been missing the bigger picture. There have been things that I have been seeing about this judge that I absolutely have not liked, do not like, and I feel like he is making an example out of them. Did you all know that he's running for election? This is something that will look good for him.
That being said, around the same time, Brenay had also had a warrant issued for her arrest, reportedly for violating a restraining order that Akira had filed against her earlier in the year. So yes, at one point in time, all three of them, Tim, Akira, and Brenay, had legal trouble hanging over their heads. Meanwhile, Devon, Brenay's ex-husband and honestly the chillest person in this entire circus, decided to take the high road. According to what we found online, he ended up dismissing his own case against Brenay and chose to stay completely out of the drama. So to put things in order, first, Brenay spent a weekend in jail for ignoring court orders. Then Tim and Akira were both sentenced for criminal contempt and spent their own weekend behind bars. Both served roughly 48 hours before being released. And now as it stands, both of them have criminal contempt records attached to their ongoing case. We mean, this just keeps getting messier and messier. September was already chaotic for all of them, but when October 2025 rolled around, another wild update hit Reddit. Apparently, Tim had now sued Akira in a $30,000 lawsuit for invasion of privacy and misuse of personal property. According to the legal documents found online, Tim filed this lawsuit against Akira on October 27, 2025. In it, he claimed that Akira accessed his computer without his knowledge, retrieving text messages and personal information. He also accused her of sharing that private info and the items collected from his computer with others, even after he allegedly told her not to. And for this supposed violation of personal space, Tim is now seeking $30,000 in damages. Because apparently cheating, lying, and starting drama online wasn't enough, now he wants to add cash in on it too. Well, we honestly don't know whether to laugh or just shake our heads at this one. In our opinion, this lawsuit is extremely stupid. Sure, it might make the legal process a little more confusing and messy, but at the end of the day, all it really does is highlight Tim's own admission of cheating, which, if anything, is going to make Brenay lose that alienation of affection lawsuit faster than they can even blink. By claiming that Akira breached his privacy and accessed his computer, Tim is basically confirming that the evidence she has did come from his device and is actually his. So there's no denying it anymore. He cheated on his wife and slept with Brenay while they were still together. In simple terms, Tim just handed Akira the smoking gun and dug his own grave with a shiny new lawsuit-shaped shovel. However, Tim wasn't the only one trying to ride the illegally obtained evidence train. On October 26, 2025, Brenay also filed a motion to dismiss. In it, she claimed that, according to North Carolina law, a civil action can't proceed if it's based on evidence that was obtained illegally. So, in Brenay's eyes, the entire lawsuit against her should just be tossed out. Basically, she's trying to say, yeah, sure, I might have done it, but you weren't supposed to find out that way. Classic Brenay logic. In addition to this, the motion also states that Akira must pay the amount associated with responding to the lawsuit. However, legally speaking, Tim's invasion of privacy claim doesn't really hold much weight, especially since he and Akira were married at the time. In North Carolina, spouses usually share access to household devices, so unless Akira hacked into something that was clearly personal and password protected, it's not considered a violation. Plus, courts have long allowed cheating evidence found on shared computers or phones in alienation of affection cases. But all of this is finally reaching its climax now, with the trial for the lawsuit officially beginning at the start of this month. The trial kicked off in November 2025, and if you hop over to Reddit, you'll see that people are absolutely losing it, showing up to court, live updating threads, and trying to piece together every bit of information coming out. Some have even been recording Brenay in the courthouse hallways and during her opening statement. However, that little stunt has already gotten a few people in trouble. According to Barbie's livestream, several attendees were reported for secretly recording audio and video during the proceedings. And while we get that everyone's dying to know what's happening, breaking court rules isn't the move. The truth will come out either way, and we'll be here to update you as always. However, as people on the internet and Reddit have been sharing updates and details from the courtroom, we've gathered everything known so far that has been made public as of November 5th, 2025. Here's a detailed summary of the court updates and evidence presented so far. Akira presented text messages between Tim, Brenay, and Brenay's sister Karen that were extremely inappropriate. Brenay denied their authenticity, calling them fake, but the evidence suggested otherwise. A video shown in court allegedly depicted Brenay naked in Tim and Akira's home after they had sex, while Akira with her children were asleep in the house. Akira recognized her own living room in the footage, which she accidentally discovered on Tim's laptop. Other than this, Akira testified that she had no idea about the affair and had trusted Brenay deeply, even allowing her to babysit her children and treating her as a close friend. She explained that the affair destroyed what had been a happy, family-oriented marriage. Tim was described as a devoted husband and father until Brenay entered the picture. She also shared that during her childbirth, doctors warned that she or the baby might not survive, which made Tim emotional during the testimony. Other evidence includes texts where Tim insulted Brenay, calling her lazy, dirty, and a hoe. He was also caught bragging about how both Brenay and Karen offered sexual favors. Meanwhile, Tim lied to both Akira and Karen by saying that Brenay was trying to seduce him. Akira also recounted a disturbing incident where Brenay refused to leave their home, assaulted Akira's grandmother, and insisted, "Tim wants me here." Tim ultimately left the house with Brenay afterward. Akira had to file 3 restraining orders, 1 for herself and 2 for her children, describing Brenay as a friend who became a stalker. Throughout the trial, Tim and his family, along with Brenay's mother, repeatedly disrupted proceedings by walking in and out, to the point that the judge had to intervene. Tim even tried to antagonize Devon in the courthouse, calling him names. During recess, a physical altercation reportedly broke out between Tim's mother and Akira's aunt. It was also confirmed that Tim and Brenay dated as teenagers, something Akira was unaware of until recently. Additional revelations included that Akira's mother had maxed out her credit cards to buy Tim a car, the same car he later used to leave with Brenay after the fight with Akira's grandmother. Overall, the testimony painted a disturbing picture. Brenay was manipulative, intrusive, and inappropriate around the family. Tim was deceitful and hypocritical, and Akira was left heartbroken and betrayed. The court is now moving toward cross-examination, and there's still speculation about the unreleased messages between Tim and Karen, which would expose even more. In fact, the whole thing was so messy that according to Black Goddess, an older jury member decided to exit the courtroom because she couldn't bear to listen to Brenay talk.
Get it from the side, the front, the back, like that. That's what we heard. And then they had to cut it so that they can make sure that the volume was up. Baby, that was enough for juror number 2. Juror number 2 said, Basically, I ain't gonna lie to you, her expression was like, oh, hell no. I always saw this right here. We looked over, and the bailiff walked over to her, because it was a bailiff on this, and then it was a bailiff in the back where we were. So he walks over to the judge, and he tells the judge something, and so the judge says, I need all the jurors to get up and exit the room. And he was like, don't talk to each other about the case. Don't even try to speculate what we talking about in here. So they leave out. Juror number 2 says, Your Honor, I can't do this. Basically, she was like, I cannot do this. She was an older Caucasian lady. I'm going to say around the age of 60-ish. Maybe 55, late 50s, early 60s. She said, I am sitting and my stomach been in knots just listening to
basically just listening to Akira talk, because that's who all been talking.
Now, before we wrap this up, let's be clear. Everything mentioned here comes from a Reddit page dedicated to Brenay and her never-ending drama. If you're curious, you can check it out yourself, but remember, nothing has been officially confirmed since neither Tim nor Brenay has made any public statements yet. The only person who hasn't stopped talking about the case is Brenay's sister, Karen. She's been busy insulting people, defending Brenay, and stirring up even more drama online, which is ironic considering she's the same one who leaked the voice recording of Tim admitting that Brenay seduced him to Devon. At this point, people are pretty much done with her antics and have started boycotting her Facebook page, realizing that giving her attention only adds more fuel to an already messy fire. On that note, we're wrapping up today's video. Honestly, going through all these legal documents and piecing everything together was no easy task. So if we missed anything or got a detail wrong, feel free to correct us in the comments below. Also, share your thoughts or any new updates you've come across about this chaotic situation. We'd love to hear what you think. Do you believe Brenay and Tim will actually lose this lawsuit, or somehow walk away with a clean slate? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and let us know if you'd like us to make another update once the trial finally comes to an end.